So welcome everyone. You can go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat, especially if you're new. That'll be wonderful to hear from you as well. And of course, welcome back to those of you who have been joining us. And thank you to everyone who came out and supported so many of our events the past 2 weeks for New Saints here in Atlanta, as well as in Durham and Asheville, as well as Southern Dharma. So good to see so many people. It's good to see so many people getting a lot out of the book as well. So that's really nice to see and experience that. But in any case, if you're new to the practice, this is just a guided practice based on the tradition, Tantra of Medicine Buddha. So you won't need anything, a text or anything. We'll put all the mantras in the chat as well. So you'll have those. Right. And hopefully there'll be just some room for questions at the end. We will hopefully be wrapping up at 8:30 or an hour and a half, depending on your time zone as well. So again, Lama Rod here, I use he, him pronouns. I'm here on the ancestral lands of the Creek, Cherokee, and Muskogee people here in Atlanta, Georgia, the ATL. And if I saw you over the past 10 days or so, let me know. If you join me in one of the retreats, or if you join me in Justin in Nashville last week, just let me know as well. We'll get started in just a few minutes as we get settled into the space. But as we're preparing, wherever you are, just allowing yourself to come into a position that really feels appropriate just for this practice, for this period of practice. And you can arrange yourself in any way you want. You're at home or somewhere, you can be off camera, on camera, whatever feels appropriate for you, what feels good for you, right? You can lie down, sit in a comfortable chair, you can stand up, whatever feels appropriate. We're going to do that. All right. And we can start connecting, right now, start connecting to our intentions and motivations for practice as well, right? And in this tradition, we're practicing to get free from suffering, right? To disrupt the roots or the causes and conditions of suffering. And in doing that, we begin to remember our true natures, or as we often say, our Buddha natures. But Buddha nature really means that we begin to remember that we are expressions of emptiness and space and energy, right? That we're experiences, not so much beings, right? But experiences. And the sense of self, the sense of ego, right, is something that we're trying to realize the illusion of. We're not trying to get rid of ego. We're not trying to erase or destroy anything. That's not the point of this practice. The point of this practice is to recognize the illusion of all phenomena, right? And then recognizing that, we remember that we're ultimately not our bodies or our identities, or more importantly, we're not the suffering that we're experiencing, right? So we're practicing to remember that. We're practicing to reconnect, right, to the true experience of who we are. And practices like Medicine Buddha help us to remember that, helps us to reconnect to our true natures. And just a reminder, as we're getting started, to if you have a prayer request, to add a prayer request to the document that was just posted as well. And take some time to try to do that before we get really deep into the practice. Um, but we'll continue moving a little slowly, so you'll have time to add prayer requests. And again, these prayer requests this is a public document, so, so post accordingly, right? And you can use initials for people or just letters for people. Those prayers will still get to those you've offered. You know. And I do believe that so much of this practice is really about allowing, like deepening and allowing, right? Allowing, opening, expanding. And to go just a little deeper into the practice, just reflect on, even if you haven't added a prayer to the prayer list, to the prayer doc, but just inviting you just to think about whom you're practicing for. And of course, of course, you're practicing for yourself, but um, who else could you be practicing for? Who would need this energy right now in the world? People that you know, your beloveds or communities, other communities, right? I do believe when we open practice like this is helping us to lift a little bit out of the density of the energy right now. Like when we begin to just slightly decenter ourselves and to think about, the safety, wellness, benefit of others. And there's a lifting, of course, that's part of the work of compassion and care, right? right? And when you're ready, shift your attention down to your seat, noticing the weight of your body making contact with the seat. Noticing how, as the seat rises to hold you, how this sensation can become an anchor. I think a very important anchor, right? For me, in my practice, as I lift, I also want to feel the support of the earth as well. This also reminds us that we're not trying to transcend or bypass the relative in spiritual practice. We're trying to bring the ultimate and the relative together as we are at the same time embodied and moving through the world and having experiences and dealing with, all the obstacles, both individual and systemic, that we have to deal with in order to get access to the resources that we need for ourselves and for our communities. Spiritual practice shouldn't take us out of that kind of struggle, right? But I think spiritual practice can and should offer us space for us to abide in as we're trying to gather these resources. So it's almost as if we're not really going up, but somehow practice is just bringing the nature of the phenomenal world much more into focus for us. The truth of the essence or the nature of the phenomenal world begins to be revealed more and more. And as that happens, your relationship to your own experience of suffering actually begins to change. Right? You're beginning to touch into, again, the true nature of suffering, which is the true nature of all phenomena, which is emptiness, space, energy, right? And it's just like the smoke. This is just incense smoke from my incense burner, right? The smoke that's just kind of rising. This is what the phenomenal world begins to be like. It's like, yeah, there's the smoke, and I can like actually move through it. I can actually understand like its really lucid or spacious nature, but it's still smoke. Right? And this is what we're trying to get to in the practice, to 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 see this kind of like smoke-like illusory nature of all phenomena. Right? But again, we're not trying to erase anything. We're not trying to put anything out necessarily in terms of phenomena. We're just trying to relate to its true nature. And that relationship building, right, we begin to experience freedom as we're embodied, as we're living, moving through the world. That we can still care about the world, still get involved, right? Still watch our reality shows, right? And still like do really hard work of cutting through suffering and supporting others, right? And dismantling systems that perpetuate suffering for all of us. And of course, this is the inner teaching of the Heart Sutra, which many of you have been practicing with me. The integration, right, of both the ultimate and the relative. Where each side of the truth, the ultimate reveals the true nature of the relative, and the relative can also shed light into the true nature of the ultimate. And when you're ready, I invite you to connect even deeper, touching into the land that you're practicing on. And your awareness is touching into the awareness of the consciousness of the land. That there's this profound connection that begins to happen. Because as we touch the earth or land, we begin to touch all beings. We find ourselves in relationship with all beings connected to the land, the earth. And in this connection, we are also allowing the earth to rise, to hold us, to tend to us. I think one of the most profound offerings of the earth is the way in which it can remind us of who we are and what we need, and that we're always being cared for, even in times where we feel most isolated and alone. And so when you're ready, we're just gonna do just a little informal check-in with different expressions of our being. Right. So first, just beginning with your body, just checking in with your body, noticing your body in this moment, and allowing your body just to be in this moment. Of course, this is our natural body. And this kind of moment of accepting the body is actually what this deeper expression of love really is, which is just saying, this is what's happening, and accepting that. You can't, if there's something that needs to change, you can't change anything without allowing it first to be its complete self, its complete arising. But it's hard for some of us to get there because we're really, really afraid of telling ourselves the truth about certain things. And this is also deeply rooted in self-love as well as this is what we're talking about. Like, I can't love myself until I actually see and notice and experience the totality of who I am, both the joy and the sorrow, both the things I love as well as the things I can't stand. All of this must be acknowledged. But to get there, we often have to move through the layer of brokenheartedness, which most of us are just terrified to get close to. And for many of us, it's like reality is somewhere over here, and then here we are here, and somewhere in the middle is this storm of brokenheartedness, right? And we'll never get to the reality. We'll never touch the earth of things. When I say touch the earth, I mean touch the ground, the actual truth of what's happening, until we're able to move through this barrier of brokenheartedness. It's like being on a ship going through a really stormy a storm. You're sailing and you're in a storm. If you've ever been on a ship in a storm, I have. It's very much like that. It's real rocky, but that's the work to move through the brokenheartedness and to survive the brokenheartedness, which takes us into the truth of things, the truth beyond our feelings, our aversions. This is happening. This is how it is. This is my body. Real change, real profound change only begins when we're able to move through the brokenheartedness, holding space for it so we can actually get to the truth. This is it. This is what's happening. And then from there, you make a choice to change what needs to be changed, only because the change is about getting free from suffering, not because you want something to be prettier, not because you want something to sound better. No, it's because this thing needs to change to orient towards actual freedom from suffering and freedom from the misunderstanding of the phenomenal world. So this is your natural body, and just noticing where you are, how far you are from the body, especially. And just if you just notice, if you can just sense what this proximity is, then that's the practice. Becoming aware of, noticing, that's what we're doing right now. And if you do feel disassociated or disembodied, and if you know that, then you're practicing. And you're far along in your practice, actually, because most people do not know that they're disembodied or disassociating. We all have to start somewhere. Maybe there's some capacity now to just notice your breath, just that you are breathing. That's all we're doing. I am breathing. There's breath happening. And this is your natural breath. And we shift some attention into the mind. And frankly, the mind is everything, right? Everything is an expression of our minds, of space and emptiness and energy. But maybe even just focusing on perhaps thoughts, emotions, how you're feeling, what you're thinking. And this also includes our narratives as well, our storylines, this constantly running dialogue, and how that constantly running dialogue, that train of like thoughts and emotions is what feeds the realness of everything, especially the sense of self. And the sense of self is just this bundle of thoughts and emotions and sensations, right? And perceptions and intuitions that are bundled together, right? And our awareness gets really tight around it and begins in the sense of awareness itself begins to believe that it's something. So when our awareness gets really tight around this bundle of perceptions and thoughts and energy, it loses its experience as an experience and starts investing in being something, something tangible, something solid, something um, autonomous. And the sense of I arises out of that I am. And what we're trying to do is return back to first, I am experiencing. Right? That's a nice little like stepping stone to get us moving towards the truth of things. At least say that this is an experience. I am experiencing instead of I am. Everything is an experience, constantly moving, constantly drifting and shaping and reshaping, changing, morphing, expanding, shrinking, getting rigid, getting loose, all of that. And when we talk about mind as an expression of emptiness, space, energy, right? We're talking first in terms of emptiness, that there's no inherent being or something in anything. There's no there, right? What makes something real, right? And if this reality, this body, were really real like that, then why would we die? And what is closely riding with or linked to emptiness is space, right? And sometimes they can be really similar, sometimes almost the same thing, but space is my capacity, our capacity to be and to flow, to move, right? The space is where energy abides and has this momentum and freedom. Because emptiness doesn't mean nothing in this tradition. Not it's not a nothingness, it's not a nihilism. There's a something, there's a suchness sometimes we can say. But there's nothing that can be touched, right? There's nothing solid. And the energy itself, right, is what is the foundation. It's what everything arises from. Our capacity to experience phenomena, and phenomena itself arises out of how energy is being shaped and moved or misunderstood. In the case of this reality, we've shaped energy into a reality that we all feel trapped by. And this is what we're trying to disrupt. We're trying to remember that we can choose something different. And we have a whole tradition of practices where we're choosing something different, choosing to divest from this belief in realness and to reinvest in the actual truth of things. And this realization of the truth of things is how we do, this is how we're getting free, right? And this is why I often say and always say that no one else can get you free. No one can force you into believing the illusion of everything. Like you have to make that choice yourself, but we can be deeply inspired and supported by others who are making this choice or others who have gotten completely free, like the Buddha, like many awakened beings, like Medicine Buddha and all the Buddhists. And again, returning back to this experience of mind, And one of the things that we're trying to do in Tantra, particularly Buddhist Tantra, is to train in how we're creating, but particularly focus on dissolving, letting go of things, right? So we create, we imagine things in our minds. That these are the visualizations that we work with. And this kind of practice is getting us to understand that we're always creating everything, including the causes and conditions of our suffering. So again, turning to the mind and imagine experiencing your mind right now as a clear midnight sky. And in this clear, pretty dark midnight sky, we begin to imagine the awakening of these small twinkling stars in the sky of our minds. Many of these twinkling stars becoming visible and bright in this midnight sky, beginning to illuminate the sky of your mind. And all of these little twinkling stars represents all the Buddhas. Right? And actually, I think it's really hard to actually imagine a star for all the Buddhas because the Buddhas are limitless. There are countless Buddhas. But the sky of our mind begins to twinkle with maybe hundreds for you, or thousands for some of you, or maybe millions, or billions, or trillions, and I don't know what's beyond trillion, but like just countless twinkling stars like diamonds in the sky. So as this twinkling is happening, I want you to take just a moment just to reflect on your desire, your need to be free from suffering. Letting go of wondering if this is possible or not. That's not what we're doing. Like, what does it feel like to long to be free from suffering? What is that longing like? To be free from despair or different forms of sickness or painful sensations. Be free from fear, from the intensity of loneliness or isolation, or to be in a situation where we don't have to fear for our safety, that we can be free and well and happy. And not just longing for that for ourselves, but for all beings. Knowing that every being, every conscious being deserves to be free and safe and healthy and well and happy. Letting that longing begin to strengthen, to grow, to deepen. and slowly beginning to feel this longing, like directed into this sky of your mind is twinkling with countless stars of Buddhas. But this longing is beginning to awaken one particular star in particular. And this star begins to grow brighter and brighter and brighter, beginning to outshine all the other stars. And so the star is shining bright and large in the center of your sky, like mine. And we turn our attention now to our first mantra, Om Minla Sangye Kino Soha, Medicine Buddha, please look upon us. And with this mantra, we begin to fully call the consciousness of Medicine Buddha into this space. And as we chant, we begin to imagine, particularly, that the star begins to transform into Medicine Buddha. And this transformation into Medicine Buddha can be the classic iconography of Medicine Buddha as a blue Buddha sitting on a lotus seat. Or the star can transform into however we relate to or understand the expression of Medicine Buddha. As we turn our attention to the mantra, just allowing the star to take the shape, the form of the healer we need as we move deeper into this practice. And we begin by chanting Om, and then going into the mantra 3 times, and then ending with an extended chanting of Om. Okay? And we begin. Let's inhale together. Begin. Om. Om La Sangye Indo So Om La Sangye Indo So Om La Sangye Hino So Om. And behold, in the sky of our minds awakens the great healer, the Buddha of medicine, the Buddha of liberation, Minla Sangye, Medicine Buddha. We're just sitting, allowing Medicine Buddha to radiate into the sky of our minds, surrounded by countless other Buddhas. And just for the first part of our mantra practice, just sitting and allowing this radiance to fill the boundless space of our minds. We turn our attention to the main mantra, which is found in the chat. Teya taum bekenze maha bekenze rasa sumungate soha. And of course, you can chat in your own space or just listen. Or just sitting and just imagining, or if you aren't imagining or seeing anything, just having this faith or trust that Medicine Buddha is awakening in the space in the space of your mind. That's all we're doing to begin with. Right? We begin. O te agaum begenze ma begenze asa sumungate soa. Te agaum begenze a begenze asa sumungate soa. Te agaum begenze ma begenze rasa 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 sumungate soa. Be Just turning my attention now to our prayer requests. And as always, we particularly invite all the Buddhas, all the Bodhisattvas, all the Dharma protectors, all beings of light, all the spirits of the elements, the land, water, and so forth, to listen to these prayers as we offer these prayers up for the benefit of ourselves, of our beloveds, and our communities, and our entire collective. And we begin offering prayers of gratitude to all life that keeps on living through times of turmoil and joy, and prayers that I heal from COVID quickly, that I do not pass the virus to my beloved. Offering prayers for my girlfriend Mackenzie, that she heals quickly from COVID. Offering prayers that I may be connected to love, and offering prayers for crossing over of my beloved uncle Rajendra, that he be at peace and navigate the path to freedom with ease. Prayers for his family, that they may find comfort and ease in their grief. May he realize freedom swiftly. Prayers for my parents, for my ancestors and benefactors, for my family and community, for all beings in all realms and timelines to reach liberation. May all beings benefit from the blessings of my life. Prayers for me that I continue to commit to my practice for the long run and discipline in my chosen field as an academic, that I may complete this degree, for body's good health, for my creativity to always be nurtured and cared for, that I may create. Ashe. Prayers for support as I continue striving to navigate all the big transitions coming with the recent ending of my life partnership, but particularly my imminent decision around housing. May I remember to rely on my practice, guides, and benefactors to hold me as I move into this new version of myself, offering prayers to have some relief from this migraine, offering prayers that Alex may feel grounded as they navigate a difficult healing journey with their parents. May there be an easeful and joyful family reconnection, prayers for their clear communication this week. May they navigate high-stakes conversations effectively with grace and care, prayers that we may love and hold one another. Offering prayers for my brother who I know must miss our father, just as I miss him today. Prayers for Tori's stable experience in the Bardo. Prayers for Michelle and her extreme physical suffering. May her medical team find answers and solutions. May she feel relief, ease, courage, and well-being, whether her medical team finds answers or solutions or not. We're offering prayers for Ginger, who is significantly immunocompromised, is forced now to live in a home filled with mold. Prayers for physical and mental health as she lives through the stress and injustice. Prayers that she finds safer housing. Offering prayers for my aunt and her failing lungs. Offering prayers for the sad, the suffering, and the lonely during the season. We're offering prayers for Motaz, Bisan, and all the Palestinians. May they be deeply protected and safe and finally free. Prayers for my beloved husband who is living with ALS. May he feel all the love, care, and support of all those who love him. Offering prayers for Kay, my sister-in-law, recovering from a bout in the hospital with pneumonia. Prayers for Ara, and may my friend, her family, as they mourn and celebrate the life of P, who passed away suddenly last week. Offering prayers for compassion for all as we navigate this turbulent time in the world and holiday season at home. Offering prayers for C, L, J, and V, that they find ease and peace in getting free. Prayers for the McGee family who lost a father, a father story for the family who husband and slash friend. Prayers for myself that I continue to live free and to support the freedom of all beings. Prayers for the missing and murdered Black women who do not receive media attention and often go unnamed. Prayers for my friend CJ, who is undergoing intensive chemo treatment for lymphoma. May they achieve complete remission with the most comfort and ease possible. Prayers for my body as it enters a new year in being. Prayers for my soul. May it demonstrate power and courage to show up in this world as divine and authentic truth. Offering prayers for N to open her heart for me to forgive the rejection I feel and release the cycle of possession and control that binds me. Offering prayers for liberation from gloom for all in need of it. Offering prayers for ease, guidance, and healing for my sister. Prayer for my grief as well. Offering prayers for white people and my nervous system. Offering prayers for A and K who are going through a kind but nonetheless difficult separation. May they feel peace and trust during the transition and remember the support and guidance that are always available. Offering prayers for Megan and Jack. May they remember the love that surrounds them and have clarity for the path ahead. Offering prayers for my ancestors and blood and chosen. Thank you for doing the healing and the living needed to make my life possible. May my healing continue to ripple out like water through the family. May I be safely connected when the time is right to Matthias and to Mirtero and Matera and my family line who would like to work with me. Prayer for my family during a fraught time with one of the siblings and the youngest of us. Offering prayers for my mom, Nance, who transitioned almost a year ago for a safe and easeful move through the Bardo. Prayers to be connected to my ancestors as I deepen my liberation work to be held in the grief and anger. Prayers to feel more authentically connected to my voice. Offering prayers for F and loving energy for Y. Prayers for my father Bob's health. Prayers for my job search and healing. My relationship with money and fear of scarcity. Offering prayers for managing and experiencing my grief as my father's death day approaches, along with surviving another painful, lonely holiday season. Prayers for my health, well-being, safety, balance, surviving, and navigating life, especially as I'm experiencing ongoing severe financial hardship. Also praying to have more financial support and grace. Praying for my job search so I can sustain my livelihood to be there for myself and others. Offering prayers for my dear friends grieving the loss of their 24-year-old son to addiction. Offering prayers for everyone who grieved in Spring Green this weekend and that they may integrate well. Prayers for Donald and Greg who have terminal cancer and their loved ones. Prayers for the global resistance that we stay strong and prevail. Offering prayers for protection for myself and my family. May I be safe and protected. Offering prayers for my heartache. May I be free. Offering prayer for my husband, YS, who supports so many with his Chinese medicine practice. May he also be healed and free. Prayers for my mother. She is more than her addiction. We are all more than her addiction and beyond its impact on our lives. Offering prayers for healing of my body. Prayers that all beings may have health and happy bodies. Offering prayers for my beloved. May we both be at ease, experience abundance, and be protected in our deep love union. Offering prayers for the family who adopted me from the partner I've had to distance myself from. Offering prayers that I can have an open heart and show up in this dimension in ways that are authentically aligned with why I am here. Offering prayers for my daughter A that she will awaken to and rest in her true power so she won't burn herself out trying to break down ableism and transphobia on her campus. Offering prayers for my friend Ellie who lost his mom a few months ago. Offering prayers for Elizabeth and her family who welcomed a new baby recently, and also for her sister Sarah. May they find peace and reconciliation. Offering prayers for Peggy, the dog, and her owner, my sister, that Peggy be comfortable in her situation, that my sister receive consolation. Offering prayers for A and his deep wounds, that I may assist the healing. And offering prayers for the land elder who met me at home after the second I am at retreat. All of the land and prayers for all the land and all her animals, for my beloved Sangha and gratitude for them, and deep gratitude for Lama Rod and his fierce truth telling, that he remained held and guided and protected from the ego snares, that he remained true from any abuses of power. Offering prayers that I may be protected from ancestors who wish me harm, and may I receive love from the ancestors who wish to support my healing. Offering prayers for my friend Michael, who is grieving his husband. Prayers for everyone waiting for soul family. I pray that they greet you with love and very soon. I pray for those people in their ancestral land in the Middle East and in Gaza. May they find the strength of their ancestors. May the world pay attention to them, and may they find peace. May they be set free. Offering prayers for my health and my brother's health. Offering prayers for my father, who has been in the emergency room all week due to severe issues, wishing for the alleviation of his suffering as he transitions into all the illness-related hardships related to aging and Alzheimer's. Offering prayers for me, my mom, and grandma to heal. Prayers for all beings to be free. Offering prayers for the water on this land, for the water in the streams that empty into the river that flows both ways. Offering prayers for Debbie for a quick recovery from surgery, to Catherine to transition well from her husband's passing. Offering prayers for my friend Allison experiencing health problems, her mother-in-law Mary, who just passed into the Bardo, and for her son Louis, who is also struggling with many health problems. Offering prayers for myself, heart palpitations, anxiety, and upcoming knee replacement surgery next month. May I move through the preliminaries and not get caught up in fear, and to have clarity about any ways in which I need to care for myself and others involved. And offering prayers for my friend Baker with long-term pain from a recent back injury. May she have all the help she needs to recover. For my children and their children, for the people of Gaza and their horrific circumstances, may the Israelis find their souls and another strategy to keep themselves safe. May the people of this country and our so-called leaders wake up to the reality of interconnectedness and move towards compassion instead of cruelty. And prayers for Brian, that he may have courage to allow himself deeper access to his Buddha nature. Offering prayers for administrators in my program, that they move into a space of choice, open their view, and honor the rich diversity of positive and negative aspects of me as well as themselves. Offering prayers for Chris, that she may let go of any fixed thoughts and feelings, view infinite space, emptiness, and liberation for all. Offering prayers that we all may continue to practice so we may be free, that all beings may be free. Offering prayers for Tia, she seeks to free herself from the causes and conditions of her suffering related to her current job. May she continue to shed delusion and continue journeying. And prayers to be connected to my heart. I continue to offer prayers for my Aunt Mary Alice moving through the spirit world, and for my Uncle Donnell for his complete and rapid healing as well. As we return back to our practice and just holding the energy of all these prayers and returning to our mind and the sky of our mind and all the Buddhas and medicine Buddha, we begin to imagine that medicine Buddha, as well as all the Buddhas in our minds, begins to radiate intensely into this entire world, filling this world with the healing power, the liberatory power of clear consciousness, freeing all beings from all sickness and disease and suffering, abolishing all systems of violence and erasure and genocide, and lifting all beings back into their most authentic nature, their Buddha nature. That this world and all the worlds and all beings and all the worlds are freed through the brilliance, the radiance of Medicine Buddha's consciousness. And returning back to the mantra, O Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Ma Begense, Rasa Sumungate Soa. Dea Daum Begense, Begense, Slowly we begin to imagine that the Buddha and all the Buddhas in our minds begin to dissolve into the emptiness of our minds, knowing that these Buddhas are always intrinsically expressions of our own awakened minds. And we rest in emptiness and space and energy. So when you're ready, you're shifting your attention back to the seat. And again, letting the seat rise to hold you, connecting to the weight of your body and the sensation of the seat holding your body. And we're going to shift our attention to Shanti Deva's prayer, which you'll see in the chat. We're going to recite this 3 times. We begin. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space, and the great elements such as earth, I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, I also be the source of life for all the boundless beings, for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. And finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. All right. Thank you, everyone, for your practice. Um, and I will see you all next Monday as well. Thank you all for being here.